Hi, good evening. Welcome. So, this is one of my live streams during the week. I wasn't on yesterday for Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka. I appreciate all of your patience. I was fortunate to be on a wonderful webinar yesterday with Gapapa. It was so fun. I never would have thought I'd enjoy hanging out with attorneys so much. But I'm back today, as I promised, to continue to move forward with our series that is dealing with that this is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, Suicide Prevention Month for short. So I wanted to come on and give a few more nuggets, because last time we talked about 3 myths about suicide. This time we're going to switch it up. We're going to talk about 3 ways to support people that may have suicidal thoughts. Part of the reason we're going to talk about this is I want you to have something you can actually do, because I know with a lot of these things, it's very easy to feel powerless or just not to know what to do. I put it in that same category of, when someone has a bad illness or someone dies and you want to help, but you just don't quite know what to say. This goes into that bucket. It's that bucket of just not quite sure what to say. So I wanted to give you all some tools of some things that are practical. Now, I want to go ahead and start off a couple of housekeeping things. One thing is, if you think you know anybody that can use this information, please tag them. The other option is, if you think anybody needs this, just share. The next thing is, if you're watching it later, no worries. Just put hashtag replay in the comments so that I know you were here. Can you do that for me? So let's go ahead and get started. I don't know why I'm tongue-tied this week. I've been tongue-tied all week. So we'll start that over. I am your host, Dr. Ericka, Harvard-trained, double-board certified psychiatrist and integrative lifestyle coach. I am on a mission to help women feel seen, valued, and whole on their own terms. But I'm here today. It doesn't matter your gender. I'm here to help you get through all of this craziness with your sanity intact. I have a little experience with these things because I have over 15 years of experience in human behavior, and I do have a telepsychiatry practice. So let's go ahead and get this started. So the first thing is, we have to talk about suicide, because it is happening. Regardless of if everyone puts their head in the sand and we act like it doesn't happen, we all know it does. And chances are, someone that has either attempted suicide, someone that has committed suicide, or someone that has at least had thoughts of dying. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to come on. Oh, Dr. Delane, thanks for coming on. I literally, when I was prepping everything for this show, I actually thought of you. I really did think of you. So thank you so much for coming on. And one of the things that comes up with it is just from another one of those myths, along with the myth that Black people don't have mental health issues, sometimes is Black people don't commit suicide. And I wanted to share something with you even before we get started. So I have a couple things back here. I got books today. This is an oldie but a goodie. And I guess I'm showing my age because I have books, like books. And this book, you know what? I did not realize this was a signed book. I really, can we just have a moment for the fact that I didn't realize my book was autographed until this exact moment that you were sharing this with me, this moment where I realized I have an autographed book. So this book, it was, the copyright is from 2000, but it's great information. It's still good information. And why I wanted to share it tonight is, it's called Lay My Burden Down. The subtitle is Unraveling Suicide and the Mental Health Crisis Among African Americans. It was done by Dr. Alvin Poussaint and Amy Alexander. This book is excellent because I really love the way, not only do they break down some things around Black mental health crises, but they also talk about suicide, especially in the African American community. So I do highly suggest this book. It is probably very inexpensive given how old it is. I can't believe I'm holding a book that is 20 years old. Who knew? Who knew? So let's go ahead and get to it since I got you and you all are here. So thank you so much. So I was sitting there thinking, self, what are we going to talk about today? And as I said before, I wanted to give people some practical tools and strategies because a lot of times it's very easy to feel helpless, partially because I think for a lot of us, we want to solve problems. We want to check the box, make sure it's done, have it totally resolved. And some of these things, and one of the things that makes mental illness hard to deal with sometimes from an outsider, is the things that we can do from the outside aren't always full solutions. They're strategies, they're tools, but we're not going to be able to say one thing or do one thing, and everything is fixed. So sometimes I think it puts us in analysis paralysis, where you don't do anything because you're thinking so many things, or you end up with paralysis because you just don't know what to do, so you do nothing. So I want you to have the power to do something, because for a lot of people, I remember I was taking a training when I was working at this company, and our training was in Macon, Georgia. Shout out to Dr. Nisa. Is that during that training, it was a piece, I wouldn't think it was a piece of what ends up being in mental health first aid, but it was something else. I can't remember the name of it. But the presenter started off with the story about this person that was going to jump off the San Francisco bridge. I think it was I guess that's the Golden Gate Bridge. Let me know, because sometimes I can't remember stuff. And the person said the only reason they didn't jump that day was someone said hello. So a lot of times people don't feel seen or feel like if they're gone, nobody will notice or nobody will care. So it's important. There's so many things that we can do. So let's go ahead and get started. Do you want to hear what we can do? Let's do this. So the first thing is to ask. It sounds so simple, but sometimes simple just doesn't get done because it is so simple. So ask how someone is doing. By asking how someone is doing, it says a few things. One thing, that you care. Number two, that you see them. Number three, you're interested in what's going on with them. And part of it is to genuinely ask. And if someone just says okay, and you have a sense that they're not okay, or they just say fine, because we all are accustomed to saying, how are you doing? Okay. How are you doing? Fine. Is probe further, ask more. Ask, how are you really doing? Or I'm really worried about you. What's really going on? So ask how someone is doing. That lets them feel seen. The next thing is you can ask someone if they're having thoughts of suicide. But you can also, one of the questions we ask as psychiatrists sometimes is, have you been thinking about dying? Because sometimes people will think of what we call kind of passive suicidal thoughts, which is they're not thinking about the act of doing something to harm themselves. They're thinking about dying. So the other thing is you can ask someone, are you thinking about dying? Have you been thinking about suicide? You can ask those questions because it's been proven that that doesn't make someone suicidal. So the first thing is to ask. So you ready for number two? Number two is to assist with finding resources. You might say, why are we going to do this? Well, the first reason is sometimes when people aren't feeling well, one of the things that goes with almost most mental health conditions is that people have poor concentration, or what we call cognitive blunting, which means they can't think things through as clearly and as quickly as usual. So one of the reasons it's important to assist them is they may not be able to put all those facts together, or to start doing searches, or to call their insurance company. It just might feel a little bit too much. So assisting with finding resources can be anything from helping them call to find someone to see, like a therapist or a psychiatrist. It can also be helping them find additional information on the web, like fact sheets, but just to assist them, because if someone's feeling really bad, they may not have the mental energy to do all that. So that can go a long way. The next thing is go with them to their appointment. That a lot of times it may be difficult for people to remember things, or they just need some support, even if you don't go into the room with them. That it says something if you get them in the car, you all drive, or if you're taking public transportation, you take it together and you go together. Number one, it's accountability. It helps make sure they go. Number two, they feel supported, because especially if someone hasn't been seeing someone or they're doing some type of shift, they might be a little scared. So you're providing some support and knowing that someone they can count on is there with them, and they can feel like they're not going through this alone. Do you want to hear bonus? I have a feeling you all want to hear bonus. So we're going to do a bonus. The bonus is there are times where someone's having these thoughts and it's really scary and they're intense and they don't feel safe, or you don't feel like they're safe. In those cases, you got to call in the big guns. Sometimes the best thing you can do is help someone by not taking it all on yourself. So the bonus one is sometimes you have to call 911 or call a crisis line. I'm located in Georgia, so they have the Georgia Crisis Assistance Line, or GCAL, or just go to the emergency room. But sometimes it's severe and you don't feel like someone can be safe, and you need to actually go get an actual evaluation. One of the bonus facts for this is just because someone has thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting themselves, or is thinking about death doesn't necessarily mean they will be hospitalized. So I want to encourage people to, if you're having those thoughts, to let someone know that doesn't automatically mean you're going to have to go to the hospital. Because sometimes I think people don't say things because they think they're going to automatically go to the hospital. So we're going to circle back again. All right. So we're going to do a quick review. So thanks again for coming on. Again, I'm Dr. Ericka. We're talking about 3 ways to support someone that may be having thoughts of suicide. So we're going to go ahead and head back to the top and recap. One more thing, if you know anybody that needs this, just tag them. You also have the option to share, and you also can put hashtag replay in the comments if you're watching this later. So the first recap is, number one is ask how someone is doing, and genuinely ask. If they just give you a fine or okay, let them know that you're concerned, and ask more questions. And it's okay. It's going to be awkward. You can do it. The next thing is you can also ask them if they're having thoughts of death, thoughts of hurting themselves, or thoughts of suicide, because it doesn't make them have those thoughts if they're not there. The next one is to help someone with finding resources. That can be finding phone numbers for appointments, resources such as information on the web, helping them make calls. Sometimes people have to call their insurance company to see who's in network, but just helping out in the process, because someone that is having those thoughts may not be thinking as clearly or as sharply and just need some help because they just might be too tired and not have the bandwidth to do it. The next thing is you can go with them to their appointment, show some support. You can do this. The last thing in review is sometimes it's so bad that you don't feel like the person is safe, you can't keep them safe, call 911 or crisis, or go to the ER. So that's the summary. So I want to share another resource with you, is that at suicidepreventionlifeline.org, they have information about the suicide crisis line and all of those things there. But they also have some wonderful resources from everything from survivors who have attempted suicide to people that have lost people from suicide to everything in between, from coping with the emotional stress of COVID to almost anything you can think of is there. So I highly recommend you check out that website, even though it's not mine. If you or someone you know is in crisis, or if you are having feelings or you're really worried about yourself and you just want to talk to someone, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is going across the bottom, or you can also text TALK to 741-741. Some people like texting better, so you can text. So I want people to know that that is also an available option that you should use. The next thing is, as I said before, I have a telepsychiatry practice because I'm your host, Dr. Ericka, double board certified psychiatrist and integrative lifestyle coach. I'm on a mission to help women feel seen, valued, and whole. But today I'm just here, no matter your gender, to help you get through all of this craziness, because I'm also very concerned on making people feel loved, cared for, seen, and being able to have a really good quality of life. So if you're interested in a consultation for my telepsychiatry practice, you can go to askdrgoodwin.com. That's askdrgoodwin.com. You can get a free consultation. Right now I'm focusing on Massachusetts, Tennessee, Texas, Missouri, Georgia. Did I say Massachusetts? And California. So that's what I have for you tonight. I want to say thank you so much for coming in and hopping in. I just wanted to spread a little information to help you be empowered, to help those around you get through everything in life, because suicide is the second leading cause of death for people aged 10 to 34. So this is really going on. So we need to do something about it. So please continue to read up, take care of yourself. Another resource, if you're interested in some very easily digested mental health information, is another book that I helped co-author. It's called Mind Matters, a Resource Guide to Psychiatry for Black Communities. We did it together as Global Health Psychiatry. And it goes through so much information just to give information about all kinds of mental health conditions, some cultural issues, questions to ask a mental health professional, and ways to advocate for yourself. So I want to encourage you, this is also a very good resource. And you can pick up a copy at drerickabooks.com, drerickabooks.com. And there you can also find copies of my other books. So that's all I have for you tonight. Don't want to keep you too long. Thanks for hanging out. Have a great night.